Hi, Scott Papineau here again with the Alberta Ironworkers Apprenticeship and Training Plan. In today's video, I want to talk about trade entrance requirements. In the last video, we talked about how to get started with an apprenticeship, and you needed the employer, and I detailed all of those things. The next question that frequently comes up is, okay, I have a job now, I have an employer, and I want to file an apprenticeship contract. Are there minimum requirements that I need to actually start the contract, start the apprenticeship? So the Alberta government, and I talked about that in the last video, AIT, Alberta Industry and Training, they set the parameters around what's required for each apprenticeship. So there are some minimum requirements to start an apprenticeship contract. So first and foremost, you need to be 18 years of age or older. So those under the age of 18 can't start an apprenticeship contract. There are other programs available for people under the age of 18, like the RAP program, and I'll talk about that in a later video. But you need to be 18 years of age or older to start an apprenticeship contract, because it is a legal contract, right? There is some minimum education requirements as well. So for each trade, there are minimum and recommended education requirements. So what first let's talk about the minimum, and again, keep in mind I'm referring to the trade of ironworker. Other trades have different requirements, and you can find this information on the Trade Secrets website. So for the ironworker trade, the minimum education requirement is to have completed English 10-2, Math 10-3, or your GED classes. Again, that's the minimum. The recommended is to complete all of your grade 12 related classes. That'll just give you a better chance at being successful in the technical training, but these are the minimums here, okay? So like I said, again, English 10-2, Math 10-3, and or your GED. Now we do have people for various reasons. What happens if I don't have that, right? Maybe I didn't complete Math 10-3, okay? Or the English requirement. What do I do in that case, okay? In that case, you can do an entrance exam. So AIT, the Alberta Industry and Training, offers an entrance exam to anybody that's looking at starting an apprenticeship. You can actually do the entrance exam even if you don't have an apprenticeship contract. The entrance exam is based on your particular trade. So there's a different entrance exam depending on the trade that you're going into. So for the ironworker, the entrance exam that you're going to write is basically based on that English and Math requirement of your trade. So it's not like you're doing a high school calculus exam or anything like that. They actually even have a study guide with practice questions and answers right on that Trade Secrets website. You can also come down and see us at our training center. We have copies of the entrance exam, and that's a great study guide for anybody that's looking at doing it. So if you don't have the entrance requirements, okay, you can do the entrance exam. The entrance exam is free. AIT does not charge you a fee to write the entrance exam, and you can take it more than once if you need to get past that. So it's a great resource. There are no limitations. As long as you're willing to follow the process, in most cases you can be successful in an apprenticeship. Some other requirements that you're going to need is you need to be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident of Canada. Okay, those are some other things. So this entrance exam is, again, a great opportunity for people. In some cases, like I said, if you don't have the education requirements. Now, keep in mind, these educational requirements, how do they know you have them? So if you're applying for an apprenticeship in Alberta and you did your schooling in the province of Alberta, you do not need to supply any documentation of that at the time of doing your apprenticeship application. AIT, Alberta Industry and Training, when your application goes through and you pay your $35, once they process your application, they're actually going to look up your education requirements in Alberta. Again, that's if you did your schooling in the province of Alberta. They'll look it up because it's within the same government system. If you have them, great. You just move on and your application is accepted. If they look up your education transcripts and you don't have this minimum, then you're going to go over and be scheduled to write that entrance exam. Okay? Now what happens if you did your schooling, you're not from this province originally, you did high school in Saskatchewan or BC or another province? You have to supply a transcript to the government of Alberta with your application that shows that you have this minimum education requirement. They can't request your transcript from another province, Okay, that's something you need to do. So if you don't have, or you haven't supplied your transcripts at the time when you got indentured or you filed your application, they will automatically put on your apprenticeship application that you need to do the entrance exam. You have until the date of the entrance exam to either supply your transcripts from your other province showing that you've done this, or you go and write the entrance exam. It's either or. And again, keep in mind, the entrance exam is free. Some provinces, it's quite easy to get your transcripts. Call up your government agency or the school you went to. A lot of provinces charge a fee, or a lot of places charge a fee for that. It can be very nominal, 10, 15 bucks. It can be more expensive. Some places don't charge anything at all. In other places, it can be quite difficult to get your transcripts. So it's something to think about if you're going down this path, especially if you're from out of province. You want to get this stuff together at the beginning. But if for some reason you can't get it, again, this entrance exam, I keep going to the entrance exam, it's there for you to do it. It's not super difficult to complete. And like I said before, there is a study guide for that. So what happens if you file an application, an apprenticeship application, you didn't provide this, or you don't have the entrance requirements, and you don't do the entrance exam? What happens if you just ignore it? Well, the AIT, Alberta Industry and Training, will schedule you for an entrance exam. They'll send you a notice of the date to go and do it. If you don't show up, they will automatically schedule you for another exam date. If you don't show up for that second exam date, essentially at that point, you're not in compliance with your apprenticeship contract, and then your contract will actually be canceled. So depending on the trade that you are applying for, and in this case we're talking about ironworking. Ironworking is a compulsory trade, which I'll talk about in another video. Because it's compulsory, if you don't fulfill the obligations of your apprenticeship and it goes canceled, you are not legally allowed to work in that trade. So it's very important that you follow through on these education requirements, and if you need that entrance exam, that you get in and write that entrance exam, because you could be without a valid contract, which means you can't legally work in the province in that trade of ironworking. So hopefully this information helps you as you're moving forward with your potential career opportunity as an ironworker. If you want more information, obviously you can check out our website, www.ironworker720.com, or come down and see us here at the training center, and we'll be happy to answer your questions.